4,
3,
2, 1.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into Together We Thrive. Wells Fargo is proud to support the Kansas Children's Service League. We believe that children raised in healthy environments uplift communities, and we're committed to helping Kcsl impact as many lives as they can. From all of us at Wells Fargo, we hope you enjoy the event and thank you for being here.
Welcome to Together We Thrive, a virtual event supporting Kansas Children's Service League. My name is Annette, and I will be your host as we discuss and see the impact Kcsl makes by helping parents be better parents. But in order to achieve this, we need you. Here to share why your support is as important as ever is Kcsl CEO, Kcsl. Now, Gail has been at Kcsl for 14 years. Previously serving as the Director for Children and Family Services, she has literally dedicated her entire professional life to improving the outcomes for children in Kansas. Gail, thank you for being here. You're such an inspiration helping out kids in our community. And I think right now for families, it's just a different time. Everyone's struggling. We see nonprofits out there that are getting, a lot of need that they have to fulfill. Let's talk about that with Kcsl right now. Why is it the best time to go and support the organization?
So you hit on it really well. There are more and more families that are just in need right now. So families that we had been serving before who were already isolated have become more isolated during this time. We have seen families who we've never served before coming to us because they're trying to manage homeschool and working from home. They are managing their children's stress and anxiety, and sometimes they are also dealing with stress and anxiety, often due to a loss of income in their household. And so we are seeing new families coming to us, and we are seeing families with more stress in their lives. And while we need the support of our friends and our larger community, we wanted to make sure that you all were safe and healthy during this time as well.
I think it's so important to think about families in our community and that need and how we're all adapting. I mean, it's just so different. Has that changed anything with Kcsl and especially its vision? Like, what do you all see as your need and fulfilling the need in our community?
Sure. So our vision has not changed. We still want to ensure that children are raised with a loving family and that they are living in safe and stable, nurturing communities. What has changed is that we need support to do that, but we have 127 years of experience of working with everyone, and we know that together we can accomplish the goal of ensuring that children have a happy, healthy life. And so we're hoping that we can accomplish that with all of you today.
Absolutely. And the support of viewers is so important to reach that goal. How can we get closer to it?
So our goal for the end of the year is to raise $460,000. That will help us support nearly the 40,000 children and their parents that we serve every year. So while $460,000 seems like a really high goal, the reality is it has a large impact on so many families in Kansas.
And it'll be so great to see that impact made and giving everybody that extra boost that they need right now. We have made it easy for you to support. If you are not already viewing this event on the site seen on the screen, head over there and click the Make a Donation button. That's all you need to go and get started. But Gail, why is it so important to support Kcsl as you work to protect and promote the well-being of children?
Well, Annette, what we know is that 1 in 4 children will experience child maltreatment before they turn 18. And what we also know is that can have a lifelong impact on them as they become adults, as they go into the workforce. So really our goal is to ensure that never happens, that children don't experience that. And that if they do experience child maltreatment, that we are there to help them heal from that and to help their parents learn how to be better parents, and that they have the skills and are connected to the resources that they need in order to be successful to help their child continue to grow and develop.
Anything to move people in that direction, I'm sure, is much appreciated. And we'll hear more of those stories here. Anyone certainly who has raised a child knows that there is no instruction manual. And while many think that parents who abuse their children do so intentionally, the fact is abuse and neglect occur because a parent doesn't know any better. And that's often what they experience themselves, like Junior. Let's hear from him about his experiences and how Kcsl changed his life and his relationship with his son.
My name is Baldomero Dominguez, but everybody calls me Junior. I have 3 kids, 1 fiance, just one. So. My short story, well, I was raised around drugs and alcohol, gang violence. I've been to jail 36 times, 3 months at a time, 4 months at a time. And over time, it definitely added up. Last time I went to jail, I lost custody of my oldest son. I went to jail for felony child abuse. It was a Friday morning. I took him to school, not knowing he was suspended, and then an hour later they called me back because he wasn't supposed to be on the premises. I picked him up and I whooped my son. I whooped him just like I grew up. I did what I know. That following morning they picked me up. He said, "We're here for a welfare check on your child." And I said, "Yeah, I know what you're here for." But I went to jail, man. I went to jail feeling like a piece of garbage. You know, I've been to jail for many, many, many reasons. And losing my child to my own hands was about the most embarrassing, shameful one that I could think of. You know, it's a feeling I don't want to go back to. When I came out of jail, I didn't want to be that monster, that bad guy. I want to change. I learned about Kcsl through my probation officer one day. I said, "Oh man, there's another pointless hurdle that she's gonna try to make me do to keep me away from my son." That's what I was thinking. But every time I went into a situation, I went in there with an open mind and open heart.
What we teach is psychological adjustments. You have to make a psychological adjustment to change your direction. We talk shop about being a dad.
You know, relationship stuff. You know, how do I act with my spouse in front of my children? How do I be a good role model? How do I show morals and values to my children?
He shows love to his family now instead of dominance and a dictatorship.
The day I got my son back, just to have my boy right by my side, was so great. Yeah, that's Mason's name right there. Well, it means a lot. He's my firstborn son. He's the one who made me a father. When he came back, you know, he had his guard up all the time because I used to strike him for everything. I lost his trust. When he first came back and we had a heart-to-heart, and I made a promise to him. I said, "I will never hit you again." And the only way I could show him that would be being consistent on not being the old dad that I was before he came back. If I could put my whole life, my family's experience in one word, I would say redemption. You know, there is hope. If I can change, coming from the background that I have and things that I've done in my life, that there's hope, that there is change. Parenting now is still challenging. Now that I'm more engaged with my children, more engaged with myself, today our house is safe. Kcsl has motivated me to be a better person, father, citizen, everything. And it's been life-changing for us, that's for sure.
Junior's powerful story reminds us that change is possible, and Kcsl is proud to be a driving force for that change within families. And if Junior's story isn't enough to convince you to support KCSL, our next guests have 25,000 extra reasons why giving today is the right thing to do and the right time to do it. Introducing Joan and Dr. Steve Tempero. Joan and Steve, welcome to Together We Thrive.
Well, hello from Topeka, and thank you for having us, Annette.
The Temperos are founding members of KCSL's Giving Society, and they are on the quest to find more to join them. I'm curious, why did you all decide to make this big commitment to KCSL?
Oh, I think the cause is so worthwhile, and it's rewarding to watch the children and families that have been struggling find their legs and become successful.
And as we learn more about the experiences that the children that KCSL is providing services for, we realize that their upbringing was in many cases quite different from ours. It's important that those children grow up to be happy, healthy individuals that are going to be productive workers and excellent citizens of the world.
Tell us, what is the match that you're offering? Why are you offering this match?
Well, we are offering up to $25,000 in matching gifts for all the people who become first-year society members. We think this organization is so valuable for our children and the future of Kansas that we would encourage all of you to join us as society members.
So I've heard a bit of a story about you all receiving some mailers from the AARP and requests from KCSL. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, when I turned 50, I kept getting in the mail all these things suggesting I join AARP. And I don't think 50's old, and I was a little frustrated that they were thinking I needed this organization. At the same time, I was invited to join the local Community Leadership and Development Council for KCSL. And so I started looking at the two organizations, and what dawned on me is that the people that AARP was looking to were adults that knew what they wanted, they knew how to go about getting it, and mostly had the resources to do it. On the other end of the spectrum, these children didn't even know what they needed and certainly wouldn't have either the voice or the resources to get it. And so I decided that's where I want to be involved because they are our future.
Well, we're so lucky, especially these families, to have you. Thank you, Temperos, for joining us and giving your generous offer. With the Temperos match in place, now is the time to make the most out of your contribution. Here to explain the KCSL Giving Society is Tiffany Arnold. Tiffany is the chairman of the KCSL Kansas City Community Leadership Development Council and a Giving Society member. Can you hear me, Tiffany?
I can. Sounds great. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
So what is the KCSL Giving Society?
The KCSL Giving Society is an opportunity for our members to leave their legacy, to provide multi-year donations that give KCSL the ability to set their budget and really provide those programs and services we need in our community. This also helps establish some consistency for KCSL so that they can plan regardless of what's going on in the world around us.
And what are the ways that people can get involved?
To be a member of the Giving Society, there's 3 different levels. They start at $1,000 a year for 5 years, but really any little bit helps. Any multi-year donation can help KCSL with that consistency that we were talking about. My family's been supporting KCSL for a long time, and I really understand the value of that consistent giving. Contributing as a part of the Giving Society not only helps KCSL plan, but also helps us plan financially when we have kind of committed to our giving in advance.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Tiffany. You can become a KCSL supporter by clicking the Make a Donation button next to this video on the Together KCSL site. If you would prefer a paper option and you don't already have one to fill out, click the Commitment Form tab at the top of the website and print it out. Many people believe that parents have the support system they need to raise a child, but today, more and more parents are raising their children isolated from other safe and nurturing adults, which can lead to many kids being abused or neglected and placed in foster care. Now, thinking about that, I mean, Gail, you have so much experience with these children and the foster care system. What is the foster care situation right now within our state?
So currently we have a little over 7,000 children that are in foster care today. It's starting to go down, but not at a significant enough rate yet. And children who are in foster care have poorer outcomes, especially if they age out of foster care. So we need to ensure that that does not happen. And it costs us as taxpayers $31,000 a year per child in foster care.
So the foster care system obviously facing a lot of pressure right now financially with so many children within it. I'd like to know more, though, about how you all are helping relieve the pressure on the system and also those Kansas families.
So every year we work with families whose parents, because of their own backgrounds, maybe have risk factors that place their children at risk of coming into foster care. And what we do is we go into their home once a week for at least a year, and we teach them different skills. We connect them to community resources, and we give them a different path to be a parent. And we're able to do that for $7,000 a year compared to $31,000 a year.
It's amazing to see that number, a small price that obviously is making a big difference. And one person who has experienced both sides of the issue is Andrea. She, with the help of Kcsl, was able to build her support system and become a better parent to her infant.
I always knew I was adopted because my parents always said when I was little, oh, what a cute little girl. Oh, yeah, we got her from Romania. I had a good childhood. Yeah, I really did. Teenage years weren't so hot. I got made fun of a lot. I wasn't like the white, blue-eyed kid. They called me foreigner. The friends that I thought I had weren't really my friends. I would end up going over to a house. There would be a girl there to fight me when I thought I was going over there to have fun. That's what led to a lot of my troubles with drugs because I got along with them. I was standing up on a desk, I guess, and the teacher said, you need to go to the principal's office. They called my mom. My mom said, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? I was on top of the table in the principal's room. I was high on Adderall and God knows what, weed and alcohol probably too. And that's kind of when I got in trouble and then got put in foster care and got pregnant. And that's when my first daughter came, Lily. And then tried dope for the first time, meth. It was meth. I remember when I came home around Thanksgiving and she was in her little walker. And she looked up at me and I was home for just a few seconds. And she looked at me like she didn't even know who I was.
I have known Andrea probably altogether about 4 years. So she was referred to me when she was pregnant with her second child, and then she was referred again after she came back to me for services again after her third son was born. We have a program that's specifically for parents, either pregnant women or parents with young children who have issues with drugs or alcohol.
She really cares, and she will work with you when everybody else is ready to give up on you, and she will stay by your side. I recently had a baby girl, Nora, and she was the first pregnancy that I was clean before I found out, and I was clean throughout her whole pregnancy. And, I think me having a girl now, knowing how much pain it was giving my first daughter up for adoption, she's just changed my whole world around. I'm almost 30, and I have, 3 beautiful children. My parents and I have become close again. They thought that they were going to lose me if it hadn't been for Jennifer giving them some faith and hope. I don't know if they would have hung in there with me had she not been around. I feel joy, happiness again. I feel like a mom, like a good mom, like I'm doing my job. When I see my kids in the park And when I look at them at night in bed, there's a relief that I feel of, thank God that I am clean for my children.
Support takes shape in many ways. For Andrea, Kcsl's consistent support helped her overcome so much adversity to become better for her child. For Kcsl, support comes from the ground up. With me now is Angelica Castillo Chapel, one of our advocates. Angelica is an active community leader from Garden City, Kansas. She's involved in numerous charitable organizations in Garden City, including the St. Catherine Hospital Board of Directors, where she serves as its chair. For people in the community like you, as one of our advocates, I mean, what is it that keeps your passion with coming and supporting Kcsl?
I feel like children are so important. They're the future, and being part of their lives and guiding them and knowing that there's an agency out there like Kcsl, and educating the community that it's not hard. It's not hard to reach out. It's not hard to say, I want to put a little bit of a seed to this agency that is doing so much for us and for the children in our communities, and the help and the support, it's staying local. So as a person that loves community involvement and to be a volunteer, this is definitely one of the things that is dear to my heart, and I do it with a passion.
Definitely, and I'm so glad that you're here to support and that we have so many great people supporting the organization. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been an honor to be here and be able to help.
There are also numerous corporate partners that help broaden Kcsl's reach and make events like this possible. You heard from Wells Fargo at the top of the event, and we cannot thank them enough. So, thanks again. We'd also like to thank Kansas Gas Service, Evergy, Dillon's, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas, Bank of the West, Burns and McDonnell, Commerce Bank, Emprise Bank, Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, Preston Trust, and UPS. We certainly appreciate our partners and everything they do. I'd love to bring Gail back in. Hey, Gail. So we've learned a lot about what Kcsl does for families. How else do you support those parents out there?
So parents come to us when they're overwhelmed. They might be financially struggling. There might be violence in the home. They may be working multiple jobs. No health care. What we do is we work with parents to help them act. We guide them, we teach them how to take action, and we help them become financially stable so that they can continue to grow and thrive in their community.
And Gail, that makes me think of those success stories out there, and there are so many, especially with the support of Kcsl. In fact, Elizabeth is one of those parents that gone from surviving to thriving. Let's hear how Kcsl impacted the lives of her and her 2 children and gave Elizabeth the encouragement she needed to pursue her dreams.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm 25, and I have 2 little boys who are 5 and 2. My youngest is so obsessed with being outside that the first thing that he says to me when we wake up is, "We go on a walk now, we go on a walk now." If my boys are happy and smiling, I feel like I'm being the parent that I want to be. Kcsl has made a huge impact on my life in a lot of ways. One day in November, shortly after my second son had been born, there had been a conflict between my husband and I, and a lot of physical violence, and he was throwing things, and it just wasn't a safe place for me or my kids. When your 2-year-old comes to you and says, "Daddy's a monster," after he sees physical violence like that, it's really rough. And I felt like if my children were gonna have a good life, that was kind of up to me to decide at that point, because they were so young and they couldn't make that decision. So we left and didn't go back. Kcsl was helpful throughout the period that I was considering divorcing my husband. I had a lot of feedback from my family that was very negative against him, but I hadn't formed my opinion of what I wanted to do yet. Through the Healthy Families program, the home visitor, Kcsl, she was always there for me and supported my decision no matter what it was, and often it changed from week to week. And it actually took me 2.5 years to actually file for divorce after we moved away from him, just to be safe mostly. She's always supported me in any desires that I've ever had. When my youngest had a lot of allergies and doctors were like suspicious of those actually being there, but I was living with my son and I knew like his reactions every day and stuff. She always supported me and was like, no, you're right, you know what you're seeing, and she like made me feel like I wasn't crazy and I was a good mom. Kcsl gives me any community resources like for diapers or food or mental health services or really anything that I would need like throughout the community. She could provide me with those resources. For the last couple of years, I've been in nursing school. I've been in an accelerated bachelor's program. If I hadn't received help from Kcsl, I don't think that I ever would have probably like made up my mind with my husband, like whether or not I was gonna stay or go. And then I also probably wouldn't have ever pushed myself all the way through nursing school. Kcsl just gave me the confidence that I needed to get through school, gave me the confidence that I needed to raise my boys the way that I wanted to raise them, and has always supported me and been by my side through absolutely anything that I've needed in the last 3 years.
What a story of personal and professional growth. As you heard, Elizabeth endured abuse from her spouse. Abuse is a sad reality in many of our families. But like Junior's story we heard before, we know that with education and support, that cycle can be broken. Our next guests are Rick and Lanie Bloomer from Wichita, Kansas, and they've been involved with Kcsl for decades. Before that, Rick worked with the former Kansas Child Abuse Prevention Council. Now he serves as chairman of the Kcsl Foundation Board of Trustees. Rick and Lanie, thank you both for being here and welcome to Together We Thrive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Good to
Thanks
be
for
here.
having us.
Absolutely. You know, hearing Elizabeth's story, I would love to know your reaction to everything. I mean, seeing that growth of going from a really tough home life situation and building something so important to her and her kids. What does it mean to you to see that?
It's just another success story for Kcsl, and there's so many. You know, parenting is such a tremendous responsibility. The kids don't come with instructions, and you don't need a license to have a kid like you do to hunt, fish, drive a car, work in a restaurant, food handler's license. And the only way some of these young parents can get that assistance is through the Kcsl home visitors, and they really work closely with them and make sure they're successful. The success rate of Kcsl is very high in this building healthy families.
I think it's so great to see those stories like Elizabeth's. Is there anything else that you think is important to share with people?
Donate to Kcsl, support these families. You can make a difference.
A wonderful time to go and lift people up. Thank you, Rick and Lanie, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you all can make that difference like they were talking about right now. Just go ahead and click that Make a Donation button seen just to the right of this video. All it takes is a little time and just a few clicks to make that big impact. To close out our event, we'd like to introduce you now to Zach Schulz, the chairman of the Kcsl board. Zach, thank you so much for joining. And I mean, we've heard so many stories from the families to the volunteers. A lot of inspiration, I think, from the group for sure, but I would love to know what inspired you to joining Kcsl. How did this all get started for you?
Well, thank you for letting me join you. And my experience started with my law practice in Garden City. I represented children and parents in child in need of care actions. And what I've observed many times is that not every parent has the resources that they need to succeed. And I saw the wonderful work that Kcsl was doing in my community in helping children and helping parents and helping them succeed, and wanted to find a way to give back, and so that's how I got started with Kcsl.
I think that's so great. You seeing the problem, coming up with supporting the solution of giving people hope, giving them some structure, whatever it is to help build them up and have success within their own families. I'd like to know more, though. Is that a part of your vision? What is what you see for the future of the organization?
I think we all aspire to leave a better future for our children, but that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by itself. It takes money, it takes resources, and it takes time. My goal for KCSL is to set us up so we can continue to serve families for another 127 years here in Kansas.
That bigger and better future is certainly important for so many, for us all really in the community. What is it that you hope people take away from Together We Thrive?
I hope what they take away is that not everybody in our community has the resources that we do. And KCSL has been helping to bridge that gap and help people who don't have the resources available to succeed for their children. I think if you watch those videos, those 3 parents did not want to put themselves in a position where they were not able to take care of their children. But what they had was a lack of resources or a lack of direction, and it just took a little bit of help from KCSL to put them on the right track. And they're better for it, their children are better for it, and our community's better for it.
Such a beautiful thing. Again, 127 years. Here's to another 127. Thank you so much, Zach, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, well, that just about does it for Together We Thrive. Gail, do you have any parting words?
I just want to say thank you to all of our friends who joined us today to share their stories of why they support KCSL. And I want to thank you, Annette, for being with us as well. I want to thank our corporate partners, Wells Fargo and Kansas Gas Service. And finally, thank you to all of you out there in our audience, our guests, who were able to join and hear stories of how we help families go from surviving to thriving.
And if you still haven't had a chance to donate, make sure to click that Make a Donation button on the Together KCSL site. It will be up even after this event concludes. And don't forget, thanks to the Temperos, if you become one of the first 25 new society members, your donation will be matched. It's a great way to make sure that your money goes even farther. KCSL's vision is to have every child raised in a loving family and living in a safe, stable, nurturing community. And preventing child abuse and strengthening families can only happen with your help. Truly, only together we thrive. Thank you, and have a great day.
Together we thrive! Together we thrive!
Together we thrive! Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Gary, back! Together we thrive! Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Together we thrive!
Juntos podemos!
Together we thrive!